Hey kids, you want to buy some Cosmonarchy? I got your Cosmonarchy cast right here. It's Decapitation, cross spawns. We're gonna get to see Neblime versus HitEmUp. I'm pretty excited about this round. Okay, we have Neblime here in the top left as the Ultramarine Protoss, and he's going up against HitEmUp in the bottom right. This looks like Dark Lavender. Indeed it is. Yeah, it's not the same tone as the Japanese violet color that I normally see AOT rocks, but it's a comparable one, you know what I mean? So HitEmUp is probably the highest skill player that we have in the community right now. It goes by the ID Leviathan, for anybody who recognizes him from the Starcraft 1 days. Neblime, definitely a friendly face over at the Coach Pupil League, and has basically switched to Cosmonarchy full-time after discovering it, a year and a half ago, or maybe it was a little bit, yeah, I guess so. It was like a year and a half ago, so pretty cool stuff there. Shout out Benno, who turned Neblime onto it. Very cool stuff. He's going to go for a Lattice in the early stages of the game. He's also a runners-up from the previous World Championship we had called Acropolis. So Acropolis number 2, Neblime takes second place, was in the running for first. A lot of people thought he would win. And then Ayud 64, that mad lad, he came in and just absolutely bodied him. But anyway, Neblime's already going to be reliving a match versus HitEmUp. And that's not to say Neblime has no chance at beating HitEmUp, but it's more that HitEmUp is always favored, and so I don't want to like double whammy remind him of two different defeats at the same time, assuming this is indeed a defeat. We have a pool coming following the Larvosk, so this is already kind of interesting. So in Cosmonarchy, you get access to the Larvosk Cesium, which is like, you can think of it as a creep colony turning into a larva colony, right? Something like that. In fact, it used to be called Larval Colony before we renamed a bunch of those names even further. And he's also getting his pool, so he's going to go larva into pool, and that's fine. That makes sense. But it's not the build that I'm used to him talking about. He usually goes for, double larva, and then goes into a tech node following that. Sometimes triple larva, depending on what it is. But versus Protoss, maybe he's hedging his bets. And maybe that's a good thing, because the vassals are already massing up here. And look at this. Neblime abandoning unit production for the time being, as the faster pool indicates that military units are on the way here for HitEmUp. Meanwhile, Neblime going to go ahead and expand. He made a couple of vassals, which are these sort of interceptor type units. He's waiting to catch any sort of scout coming in. Let's see what his reaction time is on this. Doesn't look like, I think maybe HitEmUp may have just barely seen it, but maybe not. It's hard to call. Nonetheless, HitEmUp will definitely be in a unique position here, because this is a spot where Protoss could lose the map control in the early stages of the game. If HitEmUp wanted to go ahead and take a free expansion or a few of those kinds of things, then maybe there would be a timing where that was possible. But will HitEmUp take advantage of that? Will he even know what to do in this kind of game state? When he scouts the vassals, he at least knows that there's a lattice there. He can know then what kind of units are likely to be used. One of the vassals gets picked off there by the Quaz camp, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. But Neblime will at the very least be able to start saturating his base with additional workers. He's got pretty reasonable saturation here in the main. One more will be perfect for each worker, and then the next of them can be, saturating down the natural nice and early. And with the double gate and the lattice, looks like he's going to add a pylon for a little bit of extra build space. This is not like primo build space here for what you would want ideally, like, you'd like to be able to add like more gateways and stuff up here or whatever, but the pylon is a cheap way of expanding your production, because the Nexus is a power field, but it's not the only one. And you can see HitEmUp already tearing down one of the Monuments of Sin to allow him access through the middle. This is something that Neblime will definitely scout with his vassals. And he's got an Ecclesiast and 2 idols. He might want to fall back a little bit further. He's going to already drop a Warden as it is. The Zets are going to have to kill that monument if they want to get through. Or wrap around. We'll see what they want to do. They actually go after the one on the left. That's kind of interesting. You don't get as much surface area on that one. Looks like the vassals are going to scope in to see what's going on. They might end up making it in deep enough to scout the natural being taken. There's a second Spraith being made. When you only see 2 vassals come back in, right, that kind of confirms to you, there's the Hydrith Den as well, that kind of confirms to you that, okay, my opponent might end up taking an expansion here. My opponent is definitely going to end up, teching, as we saw. But with the vassal count being so low, HitEmUp should know that that's not going to be a heavy vassal switch. That would be one hell of a mind game to pull. Adding 2 more gates. couple of Ecclesiasts. Neblime is a cute player, as HitEmUp sometimes tries to describe him as. Okay, so at this point, you're going to see the scout come in here from the Zethicors. Ecclesiast trying to help bring him down. There is, of course, the Warden to soften him up. I don't think any damage will be dealt here. But he does scout the quad gate. He scouts the expansion, of course. So HitEmUp now knows a lot more about things. And this Warden should be canceled. It's locking out the Scribe. It's making this harvesting of that mineral field absolute disastrous. And looks like we're going to go up to 6 gate here for Neblime on 2 bases. Does he ever cancel this? No, it looks like he's going to let it finish. So, bit of a mistake there. Definitely going to reduce his efficiency. But he's got a pretty strong ground game, and the Hydra count is going to start surging. Now, I don't think that Neblime can contain. If he got close enough to this monument, he might have been able to kind of pelt HitEmUp's forces with his ranged units. But as of right now, I mean, that monument's going to go down, and there's not really a whole lot that you can do in this situation. The idols are going to do very nicely versus the Zets. It looks like HitEmUp doesn't want to go for a surround, so Neblime does make it in time to make that magic happen. Very impressive there from our Protoss from Australia, representing. Okay, so there's so many Larvosks. We're at 5 Larvosks. We're at 7 larvae every 14 seconds. A 3rd base on the way for HitEmUp. He just sent a Droleth out there towards the 3 o'clock position. Hydra's now coming in. We'll see what else he wants to do as his Droleth arrives. Right now, the army that Neblime has is going to really eat through the chaff and then potentially endanger the Hydralisks in the backline. But this is a nice wide arc here for HitEmUp to go for. There's a Stargate being made. A couple of Ecclesiasts go down. The idols being focused by the Hydras is a great tactic there from HitEmUp to try to basically reduce the overall splash damage that we have. A couple of golems are being added in to facilitate a little bit more tankiness. And with no rogue gallery on the way for, more combat support and such, the Stargate is a reasonable choice. I'm just a little bit worried about whether or not HitEmUp is going to hit harder, hit faster, before we can really see Neblime mount a good defense. 3rd base is only now starting, so it looks like HitEmUp may have lacked the resources for it a few times. He's also been adding Iziricors, a more tanky front line that's not going to get eaten up by the idols. Definitely a good choice there. It can also help to reduce the overall shield count because it's hitting multiple units with its attack. It has a multi-attack. That can help out quite a bit. Well, this is not a choke point you want to be fighting through, and actually Neblime seizes on the opportunity to just hemorrhage a few more units. Not really anything major. The Quasilisk and the Zethicor are both very, very easy units to lose because they're so cheap. A 2nd Stargate on the way. Would love to see a Crucible once that Stargate count goes past 3. Well, come wrapping around here, though, and the Bactylisks are most likely on the way as the Hydralisk Den is, the Hydrath Den is mutating into something greater. Coming on down from the high ground. Neblime going to retreat. He's got a whole boatload of Zealots coming. One Zealot scouting out, seeing another rally of Hydras. He's probably just trying to figure out, okay, are you drolling yet? You making your workers or what? The first Gladius arrives, but you need a hell of a lot more to contest the sort of cloud of Zerg that HitEmUp is trying to make happen. Now, he does end up getting path found a little bit here, right? The pathing of some of his units is going to get got. It will reveal the Gladius, though. Neblime may be showing his hand a bit early. We'll see what HitEmUp wants to do, as he basically withdraws from the entire area. A Warden coming down. There's a Warden and a Matrix. We got the Crucible coming up earlier than expected, actually, but not to say it's not worth it. And now Neblime taking a bit of a risk, moving away from the middle of the map. Remember, he has no vision. Just wants to see if he can protect his Nexus. Theoretically, HitEmUp could just charge through from the north or something, and you can see the Gladius scouting over in that direction, the Zealots moving through there as well. HitEmUp definitely still dangerous with the Zerg. He's got his Bactyls out. Not in a great number. He's only going to have 4 of them for this first engagement, I think, if Neblime decides to pull the trigger soon. But for now, he's just kind of massing up in his position. Those Crucibles are going to enchant the structures here. Oh, he kills his own Iziricor. Murderous! HitEmUp is not satisfied with the blood of his enemies. He also needs the blood of his own. A couple of Zethicors are being sent off on a run-by mission. They might end up canceling this Nexus. Neblime preemptively kind of consolidating his forces into a more advantageous position to perhaps deal with this. Pylon goes down to see if he can distract him a little bit. But that Nexus is going to be the right-click target. Now, will these Zethicors deal with it? Remember, HitEmUp's rest of his army is not anywhere else. I don't think that Neblime is going to be able to stop it. It does have to get canceled, and it was so close to finishing. So that is a very, very solid move Just one round of Zethra cores sent out there to cancel the Nexus. Now, will HitEmUp finish the job? I mean, the Gladius count is getting pretty high, but they're not with the fight right now. The Bactylisks are only, what, 5 or 6 strong. That's not necessarily enough to break this army, but let's see. Maybe he's going to make a fool out of me. The Hydra count is really the scarier thing for my money. All the frontline for Neblime is already chewed through. The Gladius bounce is definitely helping out. We got some reinforcements drawing aggro from the north. Not so many, though. Neblime even going to end up losing them on the way back. Thankfully, he's kept a very, very good handle on his Gladiuses. But he is going to end up losing a lot of these forces. 3 matrices are going to finish. I don't know that they'll be able to deal too much here. We need reinforcements rallied down. The Gladiuses are going to start to fall if Neblime's not so careful. So far, they have all endured, but that will change as the Hydras snap 2 of them. And oh man, yeah, definitely a third. I was going to say maybe. Zealots now coming in. The matrices are holding so far. Tankiness of the Zealots can't be underestimated when you're going up against Bactyls that really struggle versus the armor. The Gladius is doing their darndest to try to control this ocean of evil. We still have the double matrix, and now the Nexus is finished as a battery, as a power pylon there for the static defense. But with reinforcing Hydras coming on in, I don't know that Neblime is going to be able to hold it. His Gladiuses might actually clean this attack up while his Zealots attempt to hold the Hydras at the front, so maybe Neblime can still hold. But in the process, HitEmUp has secured an additional base elsewhere, further up on the map, and the Hydras are diving forward, trying to break that matrix, and GG is called. HitEmUp is going to be good for it. All right. Well, that was a pretty fast match, actually, and I think I have at least one more here that might be worth taking a look at between these two players. So I say we see what's behind that door, since, you know, it's not often I get to cast a HitEmUp match, so let's see what happens. All right, with HitEmUp up 1-0, he is in the bottom left as our Maroon Zerg player. Oh, it's Blood, actually. Blood Zerg player. And in the top right, we have the ever-lovely Mint Protoss of Neblime. It's actually going to be a 6-pool here out of HitEmUp, so this is going to be a very interesting game state already, I can tell you that much. While I take a sip of my drink here, let me just remind you guys that if you like Cosmonarchy, if you like the higher unit counts and the more deep, interesting tech tree, more expansive, has more stuff going on with it, and you want to see more action, you want to see more project development, well, you can donate on our Ko-fi page, links in the bottom right and in the description. 50% of it goes to me, 50% of it goes to Veek. That's not actually true because some percent of it goes to PayPal or, you know, and Ko-fi or Stripe, depending on what you're doing there. But yeah, that's definitely one of those things that I very much appreciate. We appreciate here at the No Frauds Club. We will continue to make Cosmonarchy as epic as it can be. And in keeping with that, I can announce now that it looks like DF, one of our, what would you say, resident contributors, has definitely helped us out here in a big way. Previously, if you pause the game and then you go for a lot of chat messages and then you unpause the game, the replay is probably going to crash. Now it doesn't. Isn't that absolutely fucking incredible? I love DF. He is such a man. Epic. All right, now I'm taking my sip. And not a moment too soon, as on Old Scars, a map by Jujic, we're going to see those Zethra cores push on forward and see if they can't rally. I mean, the Scribe saw them, right? So the Vassal's also going to see them. It's going to get recalled, actually. Come on back home. This one's actually leaving the building already. He cancels the gateway and puts down a Warden. And he's going to go ahead and have his second Vassal scout over them and see them. He might have wanted to keep that one there, but he'll have 2 on the Reproach. And, of course, he has all of these Scribes here ready to go. So let's see what the defense is. This is not usually something... Oh, he doesn't cancel the Warden. A little bit of nerve setting in. Lag? Lag for Neblime? No way. Nonetheless, though, he actually saves most of his workers, and that's really the big thing, right? Neblime still has a 3-worker lead despite losing 2 workers, so pretty big. The Warden's going to finish, make this not a problem whatsoever. That other Vassal doesn't actually get close enough to really do anything, and now we've got a pair of Quas being made, another pair coming, a second Kagrant, probably for a Spraith. Yeah, you can't really do anything with those Zets once the Warden finishes, so... Scribe Scout returns. Oh yeah, this is the newer Old Scars. Has the chasm tiles and everything. Looks very nice, I say. All right, let's see what these Vassals can really do, because they're up against triple quad Quas, actually, and the Spraith. That's going to be a Larvosk under the defensive protection of the Spraith, which has very nice range, as you can see. So, obviously, it wouldn't protect this Larvosk, but that's what the Quas are for. And it looks like now we're in a position where maybe we're going to normalize to some degree. Neblime, obviously, has recovered his economy much faster than HitEmUp, and we're going to need to see if he can manage that. Now, the Manifolds are out here looking. on general attack paths. And, yep, they are going to catch one of the Zephyr cores. But there's two more, and they actually unburrow. No, you got to be somewhat careful. Oh, Neblime might actually be microing himself into a hole there a little bit. But no, he's going to be just fine. The A move would have worked. But always good to be on top of your units if you can. Manifolds are a little bit floaty because they have like acceleration in the same way that vultures do, but they have a hit scan attack, so you can't really abuse it for the purposes of like a moving shot the way you can with vultures or even like wraiths and mutalisks and stuff like that. So yeah, a little bit of a different kind of unit there on the micro side. A golem on the way for that front line, you could say interminability. And now with the Quasilisk slightly out of range, you can see the Larvos getting heckled there, but he just ends up scouting that there's more Larvosks on the way. No other tech that he has seen so far. We know that there's nothing there, but Neblime's vassals have not gotten deep enough in. They don't have the greatest vision range, right? They only have a vision range of 5. For reference, even the Quasilisk has more than that. But now he's going to come in for a more decisive scout, right? And he sees here, he's like, okay, you got no pool. Well, you have a pool. You have nothing else other than a pool. I guess technically a den could have been hidden behind here, or Shroud, but he does not have anything like that. Now, triple gate behind the lattice, he's going to continue making stuff to deal with the pool. I think the reason he goes triple gate early here is because he's concerned about the Hydralisk count, assuming that does end up coming into play. Hydras are really, really good units in Cosmonarchy, and that's not to say they're not good in other Starcrafts, but they are very, very adept at dealing with some of these gateway compositions once they hit a certain mass. That's where you need to start thinking towards tier 2 to really deal with them en masse, especially once the backlist comes out. And that's where the Stargate can come in, Rogue Gallery and Grand Library can come in with Storm and stuff. But as of right now, it's a little bit of a hodgepodge that Neblime has been able to afford. The Vassal goes down, but that's going to give them a speed boost when it dies. That's pretty good. Now he's going to go after the Droleth. Not able to burrow it fast enough there. So that's a dead worker as HitEmUp just now starts to overtake the worker count of his opponent. No expansion coming for Neblime, though. 3 Drakons one-shotting the poor Zethrakor. An Idol has arrived. We got 2 more Drax, 3 more Drax on the way. I think around this next, set of units, of course the Vorvikors are on the way, but Neblime could potentially try to poke in here and do some damage. He just needs more splash, it feels like, or maybe he needs a really, really good position where he can't be fully surrounded. Doesn't want to count on that just yet, so he ends up withdrawing. He's delayed the expansion a little bit there. Added a second lattice, perhaps for more idols. This gateway is spitting out Drakons in a peculiar location, I think, because it's rallied over here to the natural. So they're coming out on this side. But hey, they can still sort of find their way through. The pathfinding around resources is not as bad in Cosmonarchy as it is in StarCraft 1. All right, so the Shroud is on the way. That's going to be the tech du jour, but HitEmUp is also going for the Vorvikor, and this implies the snare on hit. It's more tanky. When you kill it, it turns back into a Zethrakor. It's like, it's definitely a lot of extra durability to the pool army. Nonetheless, the idols still do exist, and there is a golem in the back over here, so even if a surround was going to be achieved here, which looks a little bit unlikely given our positions, it still looks like something Neblime could try to fight his way out of. Drakonons are tanky as well, although the Vorvikor also rends 1 armor, so that can be a little bit of a problem. Has to fall on back now. Ideally, he's able to orb walk through this. The idol's definitely helping out with the splash damage. As soon as this front line goes through, I mean, these Quasilisks are basically going to do nothing, and they're being kept here by a lot of like those sort of throwaway units, like the Vassals, even some of the Ecclesiasts to some degree, were basically being dealt with by those Quasilisks for a very long time. Another Vassal ends up going down, speeding everything else up, and this is not going to be able to push on through. There's no more armor rend in this army. Tries to go after the 1 idol there in the comp. That was a good pick. Another Vassal going down. HitEmUp just taking out any units that he can, as he has gone for a very different look following this. He's got a lot of idle workers. He's basically got no military right now, so he orders up a bunch of Zethrakors, as well as a host of Lakizilisks. We do not have detection for Neblime. No embassy or anything. Certainly no ardent authority for a Clarion. So much as he wishes he could, flex into that right now. Clarions are super good units. They basically have, Phase Link. If you know Warcraft 3 Spirit Link, right? From the Taurum Keepers or whatever, the Spirit Walkers. I can't remember what they were called. I think they were Spirit Walkers. That's basically what the Clarion does for shields. It's very, very good. It's not percentage based. It's just, well, I guess it kind of is. But anyway, go look at the website. The website shows you everything. So the Lakers are here. As soon as they ring out the spines, yeah, Neblime is going to have to be pushed back a little bit. He doesn't have much defense for the Zets, and they are going to come in as he was looking to maybe set up his natural. So at this point, it does look like HitEmUp is once again in a very commanding position of the map. Yeah, tearing down a lattice. Not really that much on the defense. Neblime's army now scrambling to see what it can do. Going after those more vulnerable structures is definitely commendable by HitEmUp. He might even be able to break this one down. Yeah, he will. Okay, that's 2 dead lattices. A couple of units for Neblime kind of rallying into the Spraith here. A whole host of, what, 7 Lake is, 8 Lake is defending. Neblime now needs to expand here and then double expand. Yeah, okay, at least Neblime is recognizing, like, okay, you're playing very campy after that Zeth attack, which did get more damage done than it should, especially considering Neblime saw it leave the building, right? But the bigger issue here is that, like, you're now going to be setting up for that 2-base Hydra attack. So he gets his army out there again. A little bit of a risk because obviously the Zethar cores could have been reinvested into. But he does have this vassal at the choke, right? So at least he kind of sees that. And you can see here, the Zets are going to get cleaned up without really even inflicting any damage to that Draken. And we're adding rogue galleries in the Protoss base, which makes sense. I would love to see Storm here, but it's hard to get that out in time. The natural enemy of the Hydralisk, the Psionic Storm. Also a good choice, Cantors, although you do need enough chaff in front of them. But no Grand Library for Neblime, so he's not going to be able to do that. Right now, he just wants to set up for a little bit of a contain, slow the army, that kind of thing. The Hydrath Den already under duress here. We've got another lattice being added as well, so it looks like he wants to keep on making vassals if he can. HitEmUp has a lot of money in the bank. What is he thinking of spending it on is what I want to know. Okay, just 17 Hydras, 18 Hydras, plus, of course, the Hydrath Den. So there you go, using all of his money at once. Sometimes he does AFK in the middle of games to go get a DoorDash, but I don't think it was this time. That's only in the FFAs. Shout out that one time. That one weekend war. So the Witness is on the way to see what it can do. Third base was attempted, but not going to be for free. You can see the lake is already unburrowed. That's never a scary sign for anybody other than the enemies of the Zerg. Yeah, okay. So as the Hydras come on in here, I mean, the Witness is here to detect, but what are you really going to be doing? Neblime's like, damn, what an army. I'm out. I feel like he might have been able to do something there, but yeah, the odds were definitely slim. And, you know, if he's just thinking about, like, quality of practice, you know, if these are just practice games, he might just be like, yeah, whatever. Let's go next. All right, well, we didn't get to see an explosive fight with a bunch of dead Protoss, at least in that game, but we did get to see that in the previous match, and, hey, it's a HitEmUp game. I can't promise you it's going to be close. I can only promise you it's going to be HitEmUp. I hope you guys enjoyed the Bing Bongery, and we will be back with another cast tomorrow, so stay with us and see you then. Peace.